Hey, welcome to What the Tech, your source for all things tech. On this episode, we're actually going to be talking about how artificial intelligence is impacting SEO and SEM. We're joined by an expert in AI for marketing, so let's go. Hey, Tony. I am so happy to have you today with me to talk about this important topic about how specifically AI is actually changing SEO and SEM. And so we're going to dive both into that, but also some basics for people who are looking to kind of launch things in 2023. So excited to have you here with me, Tony.
Hey, Troy, thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. For this episode, we're actually going to dig deeply into how AI is changing the game for SEO and search engine management as well. And so you're kind of at the forefront of that. You're not only running businesses, you're doing a lot of the SEO, SEM work for clients in a variety of different industries. So I'm excited to kind of jump in here and talk about what is actually happening. So I want to ask, with AI, what do you think has changed the most on this specific topic?
Yeah, so I think what's changed the most with SEO and SEM with AI, I think it's analytics. So, back in the day, you'd have to go through a lot of data. You'd have to know you have to have really great situational analysis of what's happening with the data, any seasonality patterns. But with AI today, it can run through analytics pretty quickly, faster than any human, and provide those insights without having to spend a ton of time, digging through that.
Well, what do you think with all of this is going to be kind of the response from, say, Google and Bing and all these search engines when it comes to AI created content? Do you feel like it's going to favor one side or the other? And is it all going to really boil down to a lot of the same factors? It's just going to be at a faster speed?
I think in terms of what Google is looking at with AI content, I think at the end of the day, they're really concerned about the users, the people digesting those pieces of content, whether it's AI or not AI. For example, if you're searching on Google and you get a piece of content that's 100% written by AI, but it solves your problem and it gives you a great user experience, and you couldn't tell if it was AI or not, I don't think Google is going to have a problem with that, because it's really the most relevant, the best solution, best user experience for their users. So it won't have an issue with the source of the writing. I think it'll have an issue though with if you're just cranking stuff out without really focusing on the quality and being thoughtful about what is the user trying to achieve when they do this search query. If you're cranking out thousands of blog posts just to cast a wider net so that way you can get all the keywords, Google's going to know what you're trying to do, and they'll probably penalize you for that. But if you're really genuinely authentically trying to solve somebody's problem, and you're using AI to solve that problem faster and getting the same result and a great user experience, I think they won't have a problem with that.
So what do you feel, and we talked about pillars the last time we talked, what do you feel are the pillars of quality SEO? And I know what they are, but would you mind sharing those for maybe the people who don't?
Yeah, so I think there's, the main pillars really are about that, like, again, user experience for SEO. I always tell my writers, write for people first and search engines second. Like if you provide value to the user, then whatever pillars that you choose is going to be all right. So I think that's where the human element comes into play. Like if you go to ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to create some content pillars for you, you really have to vet that, because it can start to stretch things and try to reach. So, for example, I wouldn't go too far deep where, like, give me 15 content pillars. I would say, give me 10 and then narrow it down to maybe 5 or 7, and then really focus on that quality, focus on that user experience without having to, be enticed by, like, well, I want to cover everything, cover on what that topic, what those content pillars can support, that topic and focus on that value.
So when it comes to your process for trying to rank, which is the purpose of both of those, right?
Yep.
What do you think AI can supplement or support the most, aside from content creation, which we've already hit on specifically? Like, what can AI do to help you rank higher in the SERPs?
Yeah, so I think finding those opportunities and gaps to create content is something that AI can help you massively. So, for example, as we all know, it's hard to rank for a keyword with a lot of search volume that has a lot of commercial intent. But maybe you can use AI to create, okay, what are the long tail keywords that I can use to create content so that way I can rank for the long tail keywords. And when we talk about long tail, it's really those keywords that are not searched often and usually have more phrases into them. So maybe a 3, 4, or 5 word search phrase. And what kind of content is out there that we can start to write at scale. So that way we're not trying to go against that big giant of a keyword, but we're like these little ninjas that surround the giants. That way we can attack that kind of industry and monetize that. So I would use AI to find the gaps and opportunities where, the bigger companies or competitors are already ranking for the big keywords, try to rank for the high attainable keywords. And when we talk about high attainable keywords, like if you go on SEMrush or Ahrefs, there's a kind of like a keyword difficulty percentage score. And it'll show you, okay, this keyword is really hard to compete with because the top 10 people or top 10 search results on the SERPs have, thousands of backlinks. That takes years to achieve. So, but here's some keywords that maybe is a 10, 20% keyword difficulty. The top 10 in the SERPs have maybe 1 or 2 backlinks. That's something that is very attainable in the next couple months to get a couple backlinks to a piece of content, rank for that long tail keyword. And then that way you can start to rank as a whole for your brand with like a long tail strategy. And then as you build up your brand, you can start to really go after the harder keywords. So AI can help with those opportunities, help you create content at scale, and then, really create this process where you're not going against that big giant without the resources.
I know Adam Infroy is somebody that we both kind of follow, and he talks about blogging, and he specifically talks about how you can use it for a variety of different things, and affiliate marketing is something that he's really into. But he talks about the types of keywords that you go after, just like you're sharing right there. But I'm curious if you could just bring it down to the simplest format. Like you mentioned some ranking on the keyword difficulty, like how easy it would be. So if you're like brand new, you start a new company and you're trying to rank now, you're going after those long form, keywords. What are kind of maybe some of the scores that you can go after, like a 0 to 10, 0 to 15? Is that kind of the target area?
Yeah, I think anything under 25% keyword difficulty on SEMrush. And they also have it color coded. So anything that's green and the darker the green, I think, is like the more attainable it is. So, and you'll see those opportunities at scale. You put in a keyword that you're targeting and it'll give you all the long tail keywords that you could possibly go for. And also, let's say you're starting out, brand new website for a brand. I would recommend using AI to create, a lot of blog posts, maybe 100 blog posts on target keywords that you think you'd want to rank for. And, the tools say like, these are really easy to attain. And I would do that 100 as like a test and see which pieces of content actually start to rank, and then go back into your tool, SEMrush, Ahrefs, and see which ones actually have moved up. And you're kind of like on the doorstep of the first page, so if you're on the second, third page for those pieces of content, then you can start to focus and attack those content with link building. So I think, just in a nutshell, I would focus on less than 25% keyword difficulty. I would get some content out there fast and quality, maybe 100 pieces of content, blog posts, see where you land in the search engines, come back and see which pieces of your content actually has that attainability factor. They're in the doorstep of the first page, for example. They're in the second page, and then start to focus on that. And then keep doing that process over and over again, because we won't know what's going to rank, because it's never in a vacuum. It's always moving, right? Competitors are always trying to outrank each other. So you kind of have to have that data first before you start to make bigger moves. And I wouldn't worry too much about which keywords you're going to rank for, or what, like I really want this keyword. It's really all up to, the all and powerful Google. Like, they decide what's going to rank, and you're going to get votes from users as backlinks, and they're going to, what the people are going to decide which content is the best. And I think, really just the key takeaway is, with keyword difficulty and keyword attainability and what kind of keywords you want to go after with SEO, I think the bottom line and the key takeaway, and this has been around for forever with SEO, is like, you want to create the best possible content you can with whatever you've got. So if you look at your competitors and you think, okay, you know what, I could add on to that number one search result, and I can make it 10 times better because I have unique experience to make that better, then that's where you can really win with SEO. So like keyword research and keyword difficulty, it's good because you want a strategy, you want to have some data driven decisions. But at the end of the day, if you cannot make better content than the ones that are ranking currently in the top 10, then you might, no matter how attainable a keyword is or what kind of keyword research you've been doing, you're probably not going to rank, just because at the end of the day, it's all about that quality. So
yeah, not everybody can be Neil Patel.
Yeah.
Right. So,
yeah. He's amazing. I saw him. I went to Sell and Scale Summit in Vegas last year, and he wasn't the keynote. Gary Vee was the keynote, but he was before Gary Vee. And that guy was a genius. He went through so many things. And I'm like, this guy's got to be a robot or an android, because like, it was stuff that, like, there were a lot of like SEO experts in the room, and 8-figure sellers on Amazon. Like, these people, knew what they were doing. Like, Neil Patel was just dropping knowledge bombs after knowledge bombs. So like, one day, when I grow up, I hope to be like Neil Patel. I think he's younger than me, but I still would like to grow up and be like him. So he's awesome.
Well, you have better hair, but
other
than that,
thanks.
I mean, the guy's gangster, so can't take anything away from that.
Yeah, he's awesome. And a couple of his podcasts I've seen, like, he'll do it in his like living room and dining room, and he'll have like a baby stroller in the back, and like, he's just like a normal dude, and like, he just does so many amazing things. So like, mad respect for Neil Patel.
Yeah, absolutely. Mad respect.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like, he kind of is across all of them. But I do think for anybody who's going to be, focused on SEO specifically, because that's a long game, right? Is you're not going to see results tomorrow. You're going to see results in 6 months, typically. I'm curious what your perspective is on, this content that starts to rank. Are you suggesting that you actually go back and rewrite that and then maybe resubmit it to Google Search Console so that it, reindexes and things like that, so it starts to push itself, even farther up the ranking? Is that kind of what you were hinting at?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of times I get questions on what do we do when this algorithm shifts, what the Google algorithm does this, and like, I'm scared that my content's going to get penalized. And the answer to that is, I feel like there's like really two things that you can do. Like what you just said, number one, just create better content. So like, there's a freshness algorithm that looks at the content that you've had. If you have a piece of content that's dated 2016 and you haven't updated it, go update it to be more relevant. If nothing's really changed, provide a little bit more of insights, or maybe some kind of thought leadership on that, and that way your content is now fresh. It's 2023 instead of 2016. I think that's going to help with your content. And to your point with like, let's say you're starting up a new brand and you have new content in your blog, and after you get rankings and you see, okay, I'm starting to rank for this long tail keyword. Yeah, I would go back and put on your like content strategist hat of what can I do to be the number one most relevant for this and the authority for this search term. And if you can be the best for that, then update your content. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Just position yourself. The key thing is positioning for being the authority on that keyword and update your content regularly. And then the second thing that I was talking about besides updating your content regularly is, branding. I think that's really the key thing to combat any shifts with algorithms, any shifts with AI, is that your brand is really at the top of people's minds. So if you can create a really strong brand, you're kind of untouchable. Whatever algorithm is happening or whatever AI is going on and whatever your competitors are doing, is that your brand is what people remember. And that's really what you should focus on to combat anything else that changes. But, don't get me wrong. It's still very important to pay attention to what's happening with the algorithms, because you might be doing something that's good now, but in 6 months or a year, they could totally wipe you out, right? So you have to be very careful with what the algorithm's looking at and what they're filtering out. And just one last thing. So like a few years ago, Google focused on EAT, E-A-T, and now they have EEAT. Basically, it stands for experience, expertise, authority, and trustworthiness. So if you can hit on those, you won't have to really worry about the algorithm. They just want to make sure that you're genuine, you're doing high quality content, and you're not faking it with AI, and you're not trying to game their system with the algorithm. So.
Well, I appreciate you coming on here, my man, and giving us a crash course in how both AI is kind of changing the game, but also just how SEO works and how you can rank your business today, whether it's on Google or Bing or really anything out there. And I'll go back to what you said first. Is most important. Well, you kind of reiterated it there, is that your brand and trustworthiness is the most important thing. And so if you're putting a lot of content out there and it doesn't hit on those signals, that your brand isn't of quality, that there isn't quality around your content, and that you can't be trusted, that Google's not going to trust you either.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it all comes down to trust. So with search engines.
Awesome, man. Well, I want to thank you for coming on here. And hey, thanks for listening to What the Tech. We're going to have more episodes next time when we're going to be talking about AI for marketing. We're actually going to be talking about email marketing. So looking forward to that. See you next week.